I suppose the challenges there is you know that you're signing up in terms of a two-year journey. This isn't just a little thing, it's quite a big commitment. So I think the biggest challenge is just the amount of your time that you're giving up, of your life that you're giving up, dedicated to this effectively two-year project. But I was so signed up for it that it was a challenge, but it was something that I was happy to overcome and wanted to overcome at all stages, really. So a really important thing, first of all, was the unit leadership team. I was focused that if we got the unit leadership team right, then the rest of it would follow. So I was really pleased when we met as a unit leadership team, and Glenn, my deputy leader, met him. We were on exactly the same wavelength, which was great. Our unit was joint with Cheshire Guides, which I was quite excited about, really, because I think it brought an extra dimension to the whole project. It brought in a bit of diversity to the unit, so it wasn't just a unit of Cheshire Scouts. We also had this patrol of guides in, but I was determined from the start that what I didn't want that to be was a separate patrol of 9 guides. I wanted them to be fully integrated into the whole unit. So I was really pleased when I met Nikki for the first time, our assistant unit leader, who was so on the same wavelength with that. She really wanted the girls to be part of the team, to really integrate. So that was what we did from the offset, is that they became absolutely part of the team. So that was really good. And I had my other unit leader, Rick, who's just amazing at all the logistic side of things, making sure that we've got kit, making sure we've got the right equipment for every single camp. So we had a great team, and I think as a team we worked really closely together, and that with the team is like a 2-year journey as well. We needed to become like a little family, a friendship group, if you like. We met quite often, and we were very focused on the same goal, which was making sure that all of our young people had the most amazing time at the Jamboree, and also made the most of every single opportunity that they got. When we first got together, it was December 2013. So that was the first time that I'd obviously seen names on bits of paper, but that was the first time that we actually met as a unit together. And that was really great. We did a little bit of, passing the ball around the circle and getting to know one another's names, but you were never going to actually really get to know people if all you did was, the occasional one-day event or the occasional evening together. You needed to do more. So straight after December, we went into a team building day in January, where as a unit we put on various team building activities and tasks, some outdoors, some indoors. So some things like code of conduct, how are we going to operate as a unit, some things like some media, things like we needed some young spokespeople, so we did some 1-minute pitches and things like that. But then also things like a team activity where you needed to do a river cross or a high ropes exercise. So just getting people out of their comfort zone and working in different groups. And we always rotated the groups that people worked in, so they got to know one another.
So we did 4 training weekends, 1 in each of the counties. And then we also did 2 city days, 1 in Liverpool and 1 in Manchester. So that worked out where as an event pretty much every 6 weeks, which was long enough to give us leaders time to prepare between each event, but it wasn't too long that they were missing each other or feeling lonely without each other. And it worked well in the fact that the city days provided them an opportunity to really explore moving around the city, which to some of them was a normal day-to-day thing because they lived there, but then to others it was totally unique. They hadn't really had that chance. And then we also got the opportunity to explore each of the counties and see what each county had to offer to help us out. And logistically it helped all the units out because it was fair. No one was having to do a massive amount of travelling. If someone had a camp close to them and then further away the next one. And so yeah, it works a good training scheme. So the leadership team workload, originally we started by having face-to-face meetings. But to some of us, we were having an hour and a half drive to get to that point. So very quickly, the likes of Skype, the likes of Google Doc forms, the likes of emails became more preferred method for us to get together and talk about things and organise things. I had to be a lot more managerial in my position and really delegate a lot of roles to the other leaders, and constantly keeping in contact with them to see how they were getting on, where they're getting up to with things, just to ensure that things kept going because we couldn't have that regular face-to-face contact all the time. Reassuring the unit about home hospitality was one of the hardest challenges in the preparation. I knew what it was like from previous experience 4 years ago, but trying to convey the sense of the safety and the trust you have in the scouts of that area was really, really hard. So there was only a certain level you could take it to. You then at some point had to say, look, you just have to go and embrace the opportunity, go with open arms, and if you have any problems, you know where we are. And that was kind of, that was the only way you could convey it in the end, because they just couldn't quite grasp their heads around what it was going to be like and how it was going to work. For me, I knew perfectly well, I had full faith in the Japanese to provide a good opportunity. I had full faith in the families would be selected well because I'd experienced it before. But you can never find the perfect way to convey that to a unit or to the parents.
Once we got to Japan, the impact of the preparations became really clear because we were a very tight unit together. Things like just arriving at the site and pitching our tents. Although the Jamboree site, if you compare it to the UK, was incredibly hot, incredibly humid, we knew how to pitch a camping pitch because we'd done it so many times before as a unit. So they just split off into groups and all of the tents were just pitched. It took us maybe slightly longer than it did in the UK, but not massively longer. Considering the time that we arrived on site, we had the whole pitch up, the dining shelters up, the patrol kit all assembled, food was collected, food was on, it was being cooked. They were all cooking in their groups. And in fact, cooking was actually easier in Japan because in the UK we used the same stoves in the UK that we used in Japan. But the difference was that our camps tended to be quite cold and damp, and the handbag style camping stoves that you get in the UK, the gas cylinders when they get cold don't operate really efficiently at all, so there's basically no flame and no heat coming out of them. So every 2 minutes you'd have to unhook your gas canister and stick it under your armpit to warm it back up again and then put it back in, and then you could start cooking again. Well, we didn't have any of that in Japan because it was literally hotter than a volcano, so we were fine, you know, everything like efficient flames, it was cooking everything, so cooking was done in no time. But the reason why cooking was so efficient was because they'd worked out their roles in a patrol, they knew what they were doing in terms of cooking, washing up, drying up, etc. So they were really, you know, they were slick, they were on it, and meal times became no drama. Meal times were just, you get back together in your patrol, you cook your meal, you eat it, and then you're on to the next activity. And that really helped because I think if we hadn't have practiced that cooking, meal times would have been very long processes and they would have taken up lots of time, which actually we wanted them out and about absorbing the Jamboree, not really doing that little bit. So I think we were actually very well prepared, and so there weren't any major challenges really when we got out there. We knew it was going to be hot, and it was hot. I suppose really they'd been hammering on about the fact it was going to be hot so much, and they were talking about doing preparations, you know, in steam rooms and stuff like this to get used to the temperature. I don't think that would have actually prepared you for what it was like. It was hot, but you just got on with it, really. You knew it was going to be, and it was, so it was no great surprise. So no, I didn't really feel like that. I didn't really feel that we had to make major adaptations when we were out there. I was just thankful that we had that time put in place to prepare, so that when we got there, our focus wasn't on day-to-day niggles. Our focus was always on young people getting out and making the most of the Jamboree, making the most of everything, any opportunity. And if you ever sat around, you know, go out and meet somebody. Don't be sat on the campsite. So we were glad when we didn't see them for a bit, and they'd come back and they'd tell us amazing stories of the time they'd had. They were my favourite times on the camp. Home hospitality, I think, is something that unit members generally were a little bit more unsure of. It's something that people haven't generally experienced. Having been assistant unit leader in 07, we didn't experience home hospitality either, so it was something that I was unsure of and as well a little bit nervous about, because it was the bit that maybe I didn't understand as much. I think that was made so much easier by the hospitality of the Japanese people and the amount of to the detail organisation that Japanese people have as well. Our homestay coordinator for Japan, he was announced, got his email address, and he sent me an introductory email. And from there, he then continued to email me. I'd say every few days we were in regular contact, became really good friends over email. It's almost like having a pen friend, really. It was absolutely fantastic. And he told me every single bit of the programme that I needed to know. So, you know, I'd got timings for everything. Like the welcome party, I'd got a timed programme for it. I knew exactly when I was making a speech, how many minutes long the speech was going to be. And then I knew when our unit was making a performance and how long that needed to be, and all that sort of detail. So he made it very easy. We became very good friends. He set up a Facebook group and invited in all of the members of our unit, and then asked me obviously to add people in as well. But he kind of added them as friends on Facebook, and got unit members saying to me, "Oh, who's this guy?" And it's like, "Oh, he's our homestay coordinator, so please, you know, accept his friend invitation, because, you know, he's going to send us lots of information." So we had this Facebook group where we could communicate with the families. Were on there, we were on there, and we could share photos and things of our preparation events pre the camp. We'd obviously recorded a video that we sent over to the families as well, so that they got that. He put in a tremendous amount of effort, really. He'd also got all of the families together, and they'd taken photographs of the family. So for each family, we knew, you know, we got a photograph, we could put a name to a face, and we knew who we were going to be staying with. We had addresses for them, so some of the unit members wrote postcards to their family to say, you know, really looking forward to staying with you. I think it helped because I've heard with previous jamborees that basically all you've known is the location you go into, whereas I think because we knew so much, it actually made the unit members less nervous, because they knew who they were going to be staying with. They might not have had a conversation with them, but they knew what they looked like. They knew a little bit of information beforehand. And when we actually arrived in Marugame as well, the welcome party really helped with that, to settle everybody in, because all the families were there. Each family had brought along a meal, so there was so much food, because they're really hospitable, so there was loads of food to try, and there was lots of informal conversations going on. So when you went back to someone's house, you felt like you already knew them a little bit. It wasn't strange.
One of the key things to keeping the unit motivated, particularly in an environment like Japan, is the fact that the leadership team is motivated. You'll be surprised at how quickly the young people will notice if you're tired, if you're grouchy, if you're having the moan, they'll notice. So if you want them to be motivated and going out, you've got to be doing the same, and you've got to be encouraging them, saying, you know, instead of sitting here, why don't you go and say hello to those people, or go have an explore, find the shop, find something different to do. And if they see you doing that, they'll duplicate that.
Two things are just essential for all leaders in terms of the process is firstly, it's the leadership team. It's not necessarily just about having the right people in terms of the leadership team, but it's you as a leadership team really being bonded as one team, united together and all singing from the same hymn sheets. That's the first thing that you've just got to be 100% focused on. And the second one is about having a really good group of patrol leaders, and it really goes back to like it's just a basic kind of youth engagement, youth involvement thing. Really, you've got to be focused on the young people in your unit and looking for opportunities where they can have an opportunity to lead, whether that's as a young spokesperson, whether that's as assistant patrol leader, whether that's as, you know, somebody to help you out with a bit of media work, or you know, some people who are particularly good at cooking or something like that. But it's it's really looking for young people who've got particular skills and utilising those and making the most of those, because they're the ones ultimately, they'll make life so much easier. And having a good group of PLs for us as a leadership team really made life easier, because we'd got people within the group of young people, if you like. So whenever we needed to motivate people, we weren't just motivating them as a leadership team all the time. It was also using people within the group to motivate the whole group as well. So that was really, really important.
As an experienced leader in doing 2 jamborees now, I find it very, very hard to tell other people what a jamboree is like. It's very, very difficult to put it into words. You just end up saying, oh, it's an amazing experience, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but it really, really is. It's one of those things you can't fully describe until you experience it. So I'd say to anyone that's contemplating it, go and try it. You've got to be prepared to put the work in. It's no easy ride. There'll be challenges, there'll be difficult times, both before and during the experience. But when you get out there, when you experience the things you experience on a jamboree, and when you see the young people developing like they do, it makes it all worthwhile.
If you're a leader and you're contemplating applying for the World Scout Jamboree, I'd say don't even hesitate. Do it. If you're even thinking that would be something that would be of interest to you, then you should definitely apply. But don't underestimate what it is. I think it's not even a week. It's not even a week camp, or a 2-week camp or a 3-week camp. It isn't just that. You are giving up a significant chunk of your life, and it is a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work to make it pay off for every single unit member. So if it's something that would interest you, then absolutely sign up and do it. But it's a big old adventure.
So if being a unit leader is a bit daunting or too much to someone, you can go as international service team. They're the people that go from all the different countries to go and work, to run the activities, to provide the safety, the security, everything that's needed on a jamboree. Service team is a very unique opportunity in itself, and I know some of my friends went as service team to Sweden and Japan, and they had really, really good experiences, made a lot of friends, and had a good time, even when they were working.